Ik besef me ineens dat ik just realized that I used to do this with headphones on. Because Joe Rogan also does it with headphones on.
Nice.
And I found out why he's doing it. It's to keep the audio steady.
Okay.
So people can hear what they sound like. So they can control their distance to the microphone.
Right.
But I think he's a bit
perfectionist.
Probably.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he probably doesn't have the ability to fix it afterwards.
Right.
Because he simply doesn't have the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing
This on? Okay.
Just to sync it. It's,
yeah. So this is going to be really annoying if I do this the whole interview.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
I'll try harder.
I think it would be a special feat if you kept it up for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like if you, Bob Yothers, and then you just get known for that. You know,
that guy can twirl a spoon like no other.
Oh yeah, that's the coffee twirler.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not how you.
Guy.
That's not how you want to be known to the world.
Well, I'll take it. I'll take anything I can get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coffee twirler.
Okay. Are you in it for the
cat
fame,
tickler? Yes, of course.
How honest, Bob.
No. I gave that up a long time ago.
Oh.
Being famous,
Now you're settled for just being a nobody.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? If you gave me a choice, you said, okay, you can have a film that is in the national spotlight, but you have to be anonymous, or, I don't know, have $1 million and have fame. Like, I'd just be anonymous. Like, just watch the movie, love it, share it with your friends, and I'll keep making more.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it works kind of the same for me.
Yeah.
Just, I just throw me enough money so
I
can keep living.
Of course.
And so I can keep creating. Because I just want to like get the stuff out. So
well, my train set's a little different in that it's can be really expensive. So you have ability to write a song and sing. You can do it right here, in your underwear at the kitchen table. I want to make a movie. It's a different train set.
It's not exactly. You can't compare it that way because I can write a song in my underwear. You can write a script in your underwear.
Yeah, and I do.
And you do, of course. Everybody does. But if I want to make that song into a track that I can polish, that takes a week out of my life.
Of course. And ideally you bring in session artists and friends and musicians and have a music producer.
You wish. Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
You wish, but I don't have that. I just have my own little studio on the second floor here.
Well, and that's the way I'm making movies right now. I have a small crew, small budgets. But yeah, of course, I'd like to go up the food chain and have film trucks and equipment and the proper cameras and,
Yeah, I would love that too. But I'm a bit of a gearhead, I like to be surrounded by lots of interesting gear.
Yeah, it's fun.
First thing when I want to start a podcast, I thought to myself, what gear can I buy?
Okay.
Some people just put on smartphone and talk into the smartphone.
Right.
I can just not settle for the noise that is making.
Oh yeah.
It irritates me.
Yeah, but to my kind of untrained ears, it's kind of like I can kind of tell the difference. But in the end, if it's an interesting conversation, I'm there. But I know what you mean. Same with my films. That I can use a pocket camera, a crappy camera, still tell a story, but it's super nice to have it crystal clear picture and just have it, lit really nice. Makes a difference.
I think it's a sort of self-respect.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want to do something, why don't do it good?
Yeah. It takes about the same effort to do something crappy as it does really good.
No, it's not. It's irritating how much effort it takes to do something good, because you have in your head this idea of what good is, and you can never get there. So it's a cop-out. It's like, I want to do this, but I can't do it because I still need this thing. And this thing, and I need that thing, and that thing. And you're never going to do it. You're just collecting stuff while you're not doing shit.
Right.
Have you ever fallen for that trap?
Yeah. It's just another form of procrastination. Finding a way to not do the things you want to do.
Trap, the gadget trap. I need this, I need that.
I might be kind of leaning the other way in that I probably don't get as much stuff as I need. Like, I just kind of go for it, like with whatever I have. Let's make a movie with this glass of water. Okay, let's go. We'll figure it out. Let's just make it happen.
Yeah. You always, but you don't have a cheap camera.
That's true. That's true. But I shot a movie in France where I was dead broke. I was living with a French woman who was very nice, like lending me her room. I found, I begged, borrowed, and stole a little crappy camera, and we shot a little crappy movie. And it was a good movie, but it was a crappy camera. And yeah.
What's it called? Crappy cam movie?
No. It's called Tournikov.
Tournikov.
Yeah. So we have Tournesol, which is sunflowers that turn toward the sun. Well, this is turning toward the cave. This is about a man who rejects his shadow as a child, and it runs away into a cave. And then later he has to retrieve it.
Is that on?
Yeah, it's on my website.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the trailer of it is. I've got the full length hidden away in the archives.
It's not on Vimeo yet.
Not yet, no. Because it's a 30-minute movie. But I watched it the other day. I was really proud of it because not only the effort that we put into it, but it's a pretty solid story. The production value is poor, only because I had this crappy camera. But it's a pretty solid story. One day maybe I'll go back to it. Yeah.
But you don't have the can you is it too long for Vimeo?
I think that might have been one of the considerations, yeah.
But it's not anymore. You can now put 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
So does that change anything? Will it be online soon?
Yeah.
Or will it
certainly.
never be because it's just in your archive, so you can reshoot it with really expensive equipment?
Really equipment. No, it'll be available. I should just put it up.
Would you ever do that? Reshoot it? Or is that just going back in your
It's
own
a little bit.
waste?
I mean, I'm just curious how you feel. I guess I feel I rarely watch my old movies, not because I don't like them. It's just I'm moving on, and I feel like it's kind of a big trunk of toys that I don't play with anymore. I want to play with the new stuff. Yeah. I don't know. Are you the same way? Maybe songs are a little different.
Well, sometimes I feel like going back to an old song.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I just say, well, writing a new one is way more fun.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
So it's just because it's more interesting, and it's like having babies,
Mm-hmm.
It's these kids when they grow up, they're nice too, but they're not babies.
Not so fun to play with and cuddle.
It's your baby.
They have razor stubble and they want to borrow the car and.
Well, you don't know. It's excitement. You don't know what it's gonna turn out to be.
Nice.
So I'm in it for that ride.
Mm-hmm.
I found out a few days ago that wow, I did not know how this was gonna turn out. I thought always that songwriting was you're really good, which I'm not, of course.
You're really good, but
but let's say
for this conversation,
No, it's just that's the thought you have when you pick someone you emulate. like, and you make that person into the best songwriter in the world.
Right.
To me, that was Paul Simon. It was the best. And I just want to get there, like it's me and Paul and me, you know.
Right.
Like,
Right.
they say, "Hey, losers." But where was I going?
Oh, well, you discover that you love the process of writing, the excitement of not knowing how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how Paul
Well,
relates to that.
I had this idea from, I dropped out of my mouth that you don't think you're good enough, because you're always striving for getting better and better and better.
Yeah, yeah.
That's also why you want to do new things and don't go back to the old things, because you got better.
Yeah.
And,
Well, let me ask you this. I often wonder about this because I think a lot of creation is self-doubt. We're trying to get something off the ground. But do you think a true master has that? Do you think Picasso had that, or Paul Simon has that? You know, do you think
Paul
they have
Simon surely has
the doubt, like, oh, this is crap
Yeah.
song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think Picasso
it's human.
Fellini or okay?
It's human.
Okay.
It's not that the great masters have escaped their human form.
Mm-hmm.
They just deal with it better, and
Okay.
they have this awesome talent they can draw.
They can
upon.
hide behind. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think there's a lot of thought that when goes into things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people who create these images, they think about them, and there's so much more to it than just something to look at.
Sure. Sure.
So I heard Picasso say that that he could really make art when he was a little kid, and he lost that ability when he grew up. And the rest of his life he was trying to find his way back to the way he did it when he was a kid,
Right, right.
without all the bullshit surrounding it. And basically that is what my cabaret show was about.
Okay.
Faalangst. That when you're about 10 years old, then you are getting aware of yourself, and then you start judging yourself.
Right, right.
And that's where it
Those
all
things
goes to pieces. So
Right,
if you
right.
figure out a way to not judge yourself,
Yeah.
and basically most of us do it through real hard work. You know, we just get into the process
Right.
and we say, maybe it sucks, but I'm gonna finish the damn thing.
Right, right.
And at the end, there is a product,
Yeah.
and you've learned.
Right. And usually it's kind of a raw product. You can kind of mold it into something a little bit better.
Every process, because
Yeah.
every part of the process has an end product, but the best, most finished end product is just when you don't judge yourself while
Yeah.
making it.
I've got a great exercise. So I lived in Los Angeles for years and wrote screenplays. Some were successful, some weren't. Some were just plain bad, and
They suck.
And you know, writing can be a lonely, you know, vocation. So there's a lot of self-doubt that creeps in because in that vacuum, there's the voices in your head. So I developed this technique, and it started out really pretty flamboyant, but I sat down in my living room and I put a what was it? I don't know, I guess a rope or something in a big circle in the center of the living room, and I put pillows and I put crayons and I put candles and paper and paint, everything I could think of that was kind of creative, artsy stuff, and put it inside that circle. And I told myself, as long as I'm sitting in this circle, I will not judge what comes out of me. If I'm going to paint, draw, sing, fart, whatever. No judgment. And lit the candles, and I just hallucinated for a couple hours and scribbled and sketched. And what happened was probably my most creative and best screenplay kind of came out of that. So then
Were
later,
you on drugs?
no, but it was kind of I wouldn't say out of body experience, but it was just really freeing. Just let it all go. This is my safe space.
A conscious attempt to let go of judging yourself.
Yeah, no editing. I just couldn't go back. I had to just keep cranking it out. Sketches, writing words, writing sentences.
Okay.
Throw it in a box or whatever.
Was there a box?
No, it was just the floor. I just kind of.
Okay.
I would just do a sketch and I'd just tear it off and throw it. But then later I refined that, and I'd sit at my desk to write a script, and I would light a candle. And I said, as long as the candle's lit, no editing. Because later I can come back and fix the sentences and do this and that. But no judgment, as long as that candle's lit.
Go into a stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Where it's just...
And it's just...
Put the tap on. Yeah.
Because I don't know your process exactly, but just to get it on the page is monumental. That's 50-60% of it, just to get it out of you on the page, so you have something tangible to work with.
In songwriting, I think it's a little different, because maybe if you write a book, I should be writing a book, I think.
Yeah.
But you have to sit down in solitude, and it's not my thing. So have to find another way of cranking the shit out. But in songwriting, going back to say the last thing I've written, the process keeps changing, because you always want to find a new way, because every song has to be different. You can you can write the same song over and over again, but to me, you're not a songwriter. You're just a regurgitator of words and notes. So
it's called pop music.
No, it's not true. It's not.
I thought you were playing footsie. It's your cat.
It's it's hard to say what the problem of Bob Dylan is that he always sounds the same, but that is also the big thing for him, because he has such a nasty voice and nasty guitar playing. He has to make them sound different, the songs, by making them completely sound different. And that's why a lot of songs are completely different. Right. Because he pushes himself to...
Yeah, because you can't listen to a whole album of that same voice and timbre and
How does he do it? Some people say, well, how does he do it? It's only 4 chords. It's not in the fucking chords. It's in the melody. But I can talk about that for ages. Because it's not the melody, it's the rhythm. Because rhythm and melody together are the melody. Because it's the notes. Yeah. It's the notes. But a lot of people forget they have a melody, but they don't put it to a rhythm. And that is because they don't make the lyrics and the music work together. So it's very hard to put lines on a rhythm that also work with the melody. So you cannot go into a stream of consciousness and write a song down like that's not a song like that anyway. So I don't know. I just work for this last thing. I just had I just had something in my head, and I had to do something with it. And then something else popped up in my head, a one-liner. And I said, I got to do something with that. So I wrote a song with that as the chorus. Okay. And it didn't work.
Okay.
It didn't work. Absolutely didn't work. Pete, what do you think of it? Don't get it.
Okay.
But then I was a step further.
Right.
Now I not had only that one bit. I also wrote that chorus with it on the...
Right. Okay.
Now I had a melody that worked from there to there. Just, the lyrics were no good. So, and then, boom, something new popped into my mind that I could put there. Okay. Now it's not as deep as the original thought. Now it's to be a silly love song. But hey, silly love songs are very good because it's very hard to write just a silly love song, not saying, I love you.
I'll talk to Paul McCartney. Silly love songs. Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
Right. So what's the process? So you're building these bridges between these kind of, diamonds in the rough.
Oh yeah, Paul McCartney, because that thing that I used to write the melody, that was the placeholder.
Oh, okay.
That was my scrambled eggs, the story.
Okay. I don't know scrambled egg story. No.
Okay. Paul McCartney wakes up, the melody in his head.
Okay.
He goes down and he says, scrambled eggs. Oh, how I love my scrambled eggs. Because he didn't know what So that's a placeholder. That's something you put on.
Oh, this is a great story. I hadn't heard it.
Throws away the scrambled eggs, put in the... He didn't write the whole song in the middle of the night because also Paul needs his sleep.
Yeah.
He's not subhuman.
But he had that little part.
Yeah.
That little part of the puzzle, right?
Yeah. Scrambled eggs.
Great.
So I had a placeholder there, threw it away, got in new lyrics, and I used Pete as a sounding board because I want to write songs that really resonate with him because he's
your audience, right?
He's a real audience.
Yeah.
Yes. He can and I know he can tell the difference. But I like to write songs when he hears them the first time. He like, God, man, with your... I want to have that experience all the time, and it didn't work with this one, I had to really fight to get out something that was worthy of his appreciation.
Right.
And then it becomes a fight, but it's not a less interesting fight.
No.
It doesn't always have to come out. Although, as always, the best things just come out.
Yeah, I think so. When they're a little more effortless. Now, let me ask you this. As you hone your craft, and I've found this, I'm getting a lot better at knowing what's not going to work. So I think as a young writer, I put it all on the page because who knows which direction I'm going to go. But now I'm like, well, this is the direction I want to go, and that part doesn't really work, and that doesn't really work. Before I even put it, commit to the page. Now, do you find that as well, that as you hone your craft, you're
yes.
More focused, maybe?
Well, it's when I'm writing lyrics.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to put something in there, another placeholder.
Scrambled eggs.
Yeah. So you don't get stuck. So that's not judging yourself while you're still judging yourself. That's a piece of crap, and it has to go, but right now
it doesn't stop you.
It has to sit.
You recognize it as crap, but you don't get caught on it.
It's very important that you don't get caught up in your own crap.
Here.
So
your own dookie.
Yeah. But
T-shirts.
It's you can go over it and you still know that's not. And when you're young, maybe you know it's no good, but you just don't seem to be able to figure out how to rework it in a way that will work.
Well, I would offer you don't let go of it.
Oh.
Yeah. You kind of see it's crap, but it's your crap. So
I'm
just going to hang on to it a little bit.
That's something I've done that too.
Yeah.
Like say, well, I know they won't get it, but because it's my art, and I'm just not that well understood as an artist.
You don't get it. Yeah, that's a trap, right?
Well, it's on the other hand,
I think it's good. If they don't get it, that's fine as long as you get it. But I think sometimes when you hold on to your crap, you don't even know why you do. Just only because it's, your personal property.
Yeah. But maybe because if you don't know what it exactly means, that
Mm-hmm.
means it can be interpreted in all kinds of ways.
Right.
So, and that can be good.
That can be good.
Also.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I really sort of lost there
Yeah.
with the multi. You gotta go
Yeah,
somewhere.
what does it mean?
gotta
Yeah,
go-
I prefer to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's wrong, I'm gonna go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, walking in a blind alley, just to know what's on the end of
Just-
you know what's on the end of the blind alley. It's a wall.
It's a wall,
and you run into
you break
it.
your nose, and
Yeah.
you go, whoa.
That's sort of the story of my life.
Okay.
I just ran.
But your
into-
nose looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know,
okay.
I know. It's I walk this way. I walk this way into a blind alley.
Exactly.
No, it's just I'm walking on the main road and I see a blind alley.
Really, let's go.
No, I'm into the blind alley because man, this must be the
Yeah,
bomb.
it's it's
Always.
El Dorado.
You know what blind alleys are? I think they're excuses.
Really?
Yeah.
To like not pursue the alley that has the golden.
Well, when you're in the big alley, you're just making decisions and you're going, and this can be scary. But when
Okay.
you're in a
Yeah, or where
dead,
there's a dead end,
yeah, if
you
you're
kind of
in
go,
a
oh shoot, it's a dead end.
dead end, just
Oh.
at the dead end.
Yeah,
You find other people who bump into the dead
that's
end.
true. That's true. There's
And they
dead
say,
enders.
well, I almost made it, but there's a wall here.
So is that point to being afraid of success?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
do I want to call it being afraid of success? Because then you have to define success, And
yeah,
coming from where I come from, my life is an absolute success.
yeah. Oh, sure.
So maybe, but it can be terrifying to.
But let me pause you there. What if we define success as, the freedom to make the art that you want to make? Okay, so you get some recognition, you get some money to kind of live, and we define that as success. So, because sure you go, oh, I'm Britney Spears, I'm in I'm in Las Vegas, and I make $1 million a month,
Yeah.
But no, just to keep pursuing, your art form. If we define that as success, are we afraid of that?
No. That's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay.
But what you're afraid of, could be afraid of, are other things like real success will just mean that there's lots of money coming in, and when there's lots of money coming in, there are lots of people making money of the money you are making, and which means you have to keep going. You have to chew out the stuff, and then your success just becomes an anchor that holds you down.
Right.
Because you cannot do the things that you did when you didn't have success, which is just bum out and live in your mind, which you like to do anyway.
Sure. And I think when you have that entourage, everything you say or do is genius because they want to keep the money flowing, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get any balance, you don't get any kind of
And that
perspective.
scares me, because sometimes some people, because I didn't have money, well, it's very hard for me to hear a compliment. I hear them more lately, but
That is strange. I'd like to talk about that because I had some success recently, and I kind of consciously know, well, that's a really good thing, and this feels good, and people like this, and it could lead to bigger and better things. But I kind of see that, and I push it away. I don't push it away. It just kind of goes through really fast. I don't really relish it. I don't really enjoy it. Where sometimes I can really enjoy defeat, just like, oh, you know what I mean? You just kind of fall into that hole of self-loathing.
enjoy defeat. What kind of defeat
You know what I
are we
mean?
talking about?
Well, let's say you create something, your heart and soul, and it just doesn't pan out. You said, you wrote a song and it just didn't work,
No,
right?
right.
Well,
Yeah.
I've done movies that just don't work.
Yeah.
So it's almost seductive to fall into that kind of.
What's so nice about it? What
You know what?
what's
Maybe
great?
it's maybe because it's been a long, hard road. That maybe it's familiar, right, or comfortable.
Okay.
And when you get accolades and recognition, you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of different. I'm a little uncomfortable with this. What do I do with this? You know, really good feeling. So I don't know if that was a question, but more of kind of my experience.
Yeah. It's well, it's hanging out where you know it. It's nice. You know, that's it's comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going somewhere where you've never been before, that's uncomfortable. Yeah, I think what surprised you the most is that when you weren't expected anything, you didn't went to where is it?
Standing Rock.
Standing.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't know, but the film festival that awarded you the prize. You went there, and it's not like you went there as I'm gonna pick up that prize.
Be right back, honey. Yeah,
you were
I'll be
already amazed that you were nominated.
Yeah.
Okay. So you weren't sitting there and the nominees were called out and then the prize winner and you say, well, I'm not the prize winner, so I'm going to have a ball tonight, you know?
Right.
Wallow in self-pity. And then your name got called out.
Right.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I have to go up there, collect the prize, and I have to stare into
and
the
I have to
eyes
say something.
of all the people who didn't get the award. Have you seen the films made by the losers?
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. I saw like part of one.
A part of
It's
one.
kind of the festival was so busy it was hard to kind of get into the films when you wanted to. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you pick up the prize, and you say a little something, you have a speech, you thank everyone who's participated, and of course the cause that where the film was for. And then it's a short kick. And you expected it to last longer. You expected it to have that kick be just as great as bombing out.
Right. Not quite. It's not quite the same. I don't know if I'd say a kick, but it was just the recognition of this achievement. Like, I guess like I've worked at this for so long and had to be a cheerleader for myself, right? Because nobody else would do it. I mean, people would, but you got to have something inside that makes you pursue this for years and years and years, right? So I guess that person was always like believed in myself and keep going, and this is pretty good, keep working at it. But then to have other people say that was strange and didn't quite feel the same.
Is it also because it's a different film? It's a documentary, and you are more into stories.
Yeah, I prefer more narrative, and this was my first documentary.
Okay,
First one I ever did, right?
So
and
that sucks.
And I'd gone to right. Well, and I'd gone to Standing Rock just to be
that's something
to help.
Wallow in. That sucks.
Yeah. But I went there not knowing anybody, not knowing if they'd want a film made, and I was ready to clean toilets or do the dishes, whatever needed done, just for the cause.
Yeah.
And I took my camera because maybe I can make a movie. So what really was
clear where you went?
Well, I went to North Dakota in the United States. There was an oil pipeline that has been built through an Indian reservation in North Dakota.
Already?
It's finished, and one of the issues now is they built it so fast that it's leaking.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just springing leaks left and right. So they have to stop and kind of patch things.
That was why most of the protests were there anyway.
Right, exactly,
because it's going to ruin the land anyway with all the leaks.
Well, and what's more, it's going to poison the water. There's 19 million people downstream. So
that's kind
the oil companies are like, shit happens. Yeah, buy some water from Nestle.
But that was the DAPL. Hashtag DAPL thing.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
what
no
was
DAPL.
DAPL for?
Dakota Access Pipeline.
Dakota Access Pipeline,
Right.
and my timeline was filled with that stuff
Yeah.
when it happened. I don't know if, I think.
Well, it was less than a year ago.
The media here got something,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a big thing on online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's where I picked it up.
Yeah.
You know, the media, the major media sources, they just, it's not interesting to them.
No, but it was a great story.
Yeah.
Because the story kept,
Well, for me as a storyteller, it was clear. It was, you know, people of the earth, you know, the rightful owners of North America, defending their sacred lands, their burial sites, their holy land, nature, no weapons, kumbaya, love, right? And then it was like this paramilitary, oil goons on forerunners and with, tanks and, drones and snipers. And it was like such a clear, antithesis of each other. I was like, wow, that's the place to be. That's the tip of the spear. Something's going down.
The head of the snake.
Yeah, literally. But they call it the black snake because
Yeah.
it rolls through the hillsides. So yeah, I knew I had to be there for.
That was stupid to call it marketing, but that was great marketing to call it the black snake.
Yeah,
because that really worked for me. And
Yeah.
but on the other hand, the images you conjure up here, they that make it into a sort of a Mad Max movie.
Yeah.
Like with strange people and with weirdos on one side and weirdos on the other side, and some of them are your weirdos and they are their weirdos, and everybody is just caught up in what they think is best.
Sure.
Or are you saying, well, that's just pure evil?
No, I can't say that. I might think it sometimes, but I can't. I can't say that. These are greedy people, and that's all they know is materialism.
Yeah, but not the guys, but the guys that are doing it. That are building that stupid thing.
Well, but I mean, the
paramilitary guys.
Yeah, well, those guys,
are
clearly.
They evil?
No, they're not evil, but you have to have a big dose of denial to not see. We're beating the crap out of these grandmas who are praying, with feathers in their hands. There's gotta be some twisted logic that you think that's right, that's acceptable.
I have a hard time with finding out what is acceptable, because there's a lot of shit going on my behalf.
Yeah, well, sure.
I am living in. I was born on the right side of the fence.
Well, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Right.
And well, you know what's right and you know what's wrong, but sometimes, to preserve this nice our reservation.
Yeah, our reservation. Yeah, the white middle class reservation. Yeah.
It is.
It's
an
privilege.
island in a world that is horrible.
Yeah. It's just being exploited.
And even in our island, there are horrible islands where people live the horror of life.
Yeah.
And we don't.
But I think that's also part of the lesson of Standing Rock and other places like that, is that we need to stare at our white privilege, just dead on and do something. Because it's not enough just to go, oh, this is horrible, right?
So you mentioned the white word.
Oh, okay. Should I not do that?
No.
Privilege is...
No, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk about
we can go there. Yeah. So an interesting thing happened in Standing Rock, and I was kind of thrown in the deep end in the sense that because I wanted to make a movie, I had to prove myself in the media tent with being judged by people in camp. There were people that were designated kind of the gatekeepers of who could come in camp and who
Okay.
was not invited. And so I had to tell them what I was about.
You come in, there's a camp.
Right.
You don't know where the camp is because probably the camp is moving all the time because the hell snake is moving all the time?
No, they had kind of base camp.
Okay.
And then they would go out on their cars and kind of pursue the snake.
There was a semi-permanent base camp.
Yeah.
You knew where it was.
Yeah.
And it had a gate.
Yeah. Yeah, because the police were not there to protect these citizens, but the wealthy white citizens. So the camp set up their own security force.
Okay.
Because they wanted to control who's coming and who's going.
Okay.
Because,
so there was a fence around it?
There was a loose fence, but more of a border, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but how did
But if you were in a vehicle, you had to go through one of two gates.
There were roads leading to the camp.
Right.
If you wanted to enter the camp by means of a road, there were people on that road checking you out.
Right.
Okay.
They'd have walkie-talkies and say, "Hey, here's this guy," and he says
So you drive up to one of them. You walk up to one of them.
Yeah, you drive up. Yeah, they're friendly.
You were in a
nice.
car, or did you?
Yeah, I rented a car.
You rented a car. So there you come with your rental car. Hey, there's a dude here with a rental car.
Right.
Yeah, because most of them are just walking or bicycle people or
well, most people have a car.
Harleys.
I mean, it's America. It's a country built on oil and cars, so you have to drive there. Okay. Yeah, there's no
biking.
To there's no
the
subway to North Dakota.
Because it's pretty empty there.
So I introduced myself at the gate.
Was it a long trip to get there?
Well, Bismarck is the closest big city. And I think it's a population maybe 500,000, maybe a little.
500,000. That's a little bit smaller than Amsterdam, but not a lot.
Right. And so I flew into Bismarck, rented a car, and then it's about an hour drive. Yeah, south.
So it's,
and the police made it a little more difficult.
That's to 's-Hertogenbosch people.
Yes.
Amsterdam, 's-Hertogenbosch.
So the police made it a little more difficult for security reasons. They blocked the main road, so you had to go kind of the back way, which took almost 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, hour and a half. So anyway, so you go up to the gate, and I introduce myself to the security guys, and I say, I'm from the Netherlands. I'm here to make a movie. And they go, okay, well, you need to get your credentials at the media tent, which is up there.
Okay. If you want to film, you have to get credentials.
Right.
Okay.
So I went up and...
So you didn't say, I want to do anything. You say, I want to film.
Yeah, I mean, I was there with that intention.
Okay. Boom.
But I could do anything. I was going to do anything that it was needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
So I go up
to
and
get that clear for the listener viewer.
So I go up and there's a military tent, and it just says media tent, and so there's nobody outside. So I kind of flip up with the tarp. Hello, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second, we're with somebody. Just wait outside."
Okay.
And then eventually someone came out, and then I went in, and there was 3 or 4 chairs with people sitting in them. They said, who are you? What are your intentions? They took my business card. One of them went to the laptop and kind of checked out my website and make sure I'm legit.
Because the camp had internet.
Yeah. Well, that's another story. It was kind of all filtered through the Stingray system of the police, but that's another story.
Okay.
So, so they checked me out and they said, okay, you can't film children. You can't film any of our sacred ceremonies or the sacred fire itself. It was a lot of stipulations, which I was a little frustrated by. I was like, well, why am I here? I'm going to shoot, the sunset. In my mind, I'm thinking, that's not like...
No, you don't like to have to put limits on.
Yeah. Which, in the end, all those went away because it got so, the situation was so dire. Like, I was kind of hanging out at the sacred fire, and the head of the black snake was spotted, a kilometer up the road. So everybody mobilized, jumping in their cars to go head it off, because they were going to try to break through, go across the freeway. And so if there's people standing there, they can't do that. So I'm standing there, and all these cars are just flying by me, and one of the elders just points to me and says, "Media, go!" It's like, whoa! And I jumped in the back of a pickup truck, and we just took off through the countryside. So I'm like, okay, this is the real shit now. So.
And how did that work for you? Because you're not a born
adventurer. Yeah. Oh, it was exhilarating. It was fun. It was, you know, you're stepping into the abyss, because you're heading off this giant oil company with the police, you know, in tow. You're with these, you know, freedom fighters. You know, I had a little bit of protection because I was white and middle class, but in the end, that didn't really make a difference. Yeah.
How does a camp like that get financed? Because it's...
Well, they had a bunch of GoFundMe sites and different ways, PayPal and stuff that, yeah, people were getting money to them. And a lot of people just brought stuff, either camping gear,
Yeah,
food.
I understand.
And,
If you have parts and labor, that is, it will come a long way. But but how does it organize then? Who sits on the head of that?
Well,
how is that controlled?
it was really life-changing in that
It was organic.
it's organic and it's not a typical Western hierarchy. There's elders and there's decision makers, but the really fascinating thing for me was everyone worked, but nobody had a job. So you go in there and you go, hey, I love to teach children. And then you go and you teach children. And somebody says, hey, I'd like to chop some wood. And you go over and you chop some wood. So everyone contributes and they kind of just find their natural inclinations.
Okay.
There's no one saying, okay, you guys have to go and build a canoe. Like, I don't know how to build a canoe, right?
No. I understand.
Okay.
But it's also that it's not as a... That there are say about 200 freeloaders in the camp who just want to hang out by the sacred fire.
Well, certainly there are,
Okay.
And I've heard those conversations, and you know there were people who were just kind of lost souls, and this was a place to go, and I understand that, and I think that's okay too. We're all lost to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. But my experience was everyone was doing a little something. You know, someone was working at handing out coats. Another person was tending to the horses.
Okay.
Somebody was in security.
But this creates a picture. You're in it. You're on the car. You're onto the head of the snake, and you're shooting. Were you already thinking how you want that movie to look like, or what you were going to do, or did that form in your head as you were doing it?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I mean, I was fully immersed in the experience and had my camera on my shoulder, so I didn't, I was just going to film whatever happened. But also, I wanted to find out why people were there. Did they, and one of my key questions were, where were you when you heard the call? Because nobody just goes to Bismarck, North Dakota, because it's there on their bucket list, right?
Yeah.
So everyone in camp went there because they heard something. Oh, commercial break?
No. We can all solve that with the power of editing.
Yay.
So.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
That's working again.
Okay.
Let's do a check here. And it's ready.
Huh. Oh, so it's recording our bathroom break. Nice. So you were in there. So we're back.
Curious.
We're back online.
You're getting curious about who are these people. You start interviewing them.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be a portrait of
a
number of people. Right.
I think what was interesting to me. Well, let me back up a step. So we all saw the police brutality on the social media, and so I knew that. I knew what was going on. I knew what was at stake, but I wanted to meet the people, as you're saying. I wanted to find out why are these people here? What are they doing? What's at stake? And so that was part of my interview process. Is where were you when you heard the call? Because, like I said, nobody goes there. It's on their bucket list. So, yeah, people just something touched their heart, and they just dropped everything. They had jobs and families and mortgages and just went. It was a bit like Close Encounters, right? Like, oh, Devil's Tower. Just everyone just goes because they have to.
You found yourself in the middle of a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Of one of those sci-fi experiences.
Mm-hmm. And, I had my camera, and I brought a nice microphone, slapped it on top, and yeah. But it was interesting for me. I think when you get into those kind of, really dramatic life experiences, like there was a little bit of me clinging to my camera, like, I hope the police don't take my camera. Like, why was that so important, right? Like, there's a lot at stake here. People had given up so much, and I was like worried about my camera, like, because I had some travel insurance, I probably would have paid for it, like. But my material things I was still kind of clinging to that. Like, oh, what if I get thrown in jail? Like, it was like, it really makes you think about what's important, what's at stake. And that was really valuable because in day-to-day life, we don't have that. You never had the
idea, what am I doing here? If big money wants a pipe, they will get their pipe.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we were all realistic. We didn't know what was going to happen. We just knew we had to take a stand.
Okay.
And I don't want to take credit for the other people that
because I think Obama said, "Well, let's stop the pipe," and then
he kicked it down the road, the can down the road, just saying, "Oh, let's pause it.
Let's give that.
I'm out of here in 6 months."
Problem to Hillary.
Yeah. Oops.
And then it turns out to be Trump's Donald's problem.
Well,
to Donald, it's not a problem. It's just
I'm investing. It's going to make me money. Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm going to put it through. Well, at that point, this was October of last year. I was there from the 17th to the 24th. So we didn't know what was going to happen.
No.
We just knew we had to make a stand, and I was there with my camera. I think intellectually we knew there were forces beyond which, is just all powerful. The government, the police, and oil companies. Like, you have no hope. They have the justice system. All the locals are on their side. Like, this is just a ragtag bunch of, Native Americans and hippies and weirdos like me with my camera. We can't fight that. But we had the power of prayer. We had the power of conviction. We were on the right side of history. History will play out. We're on the right side. So, wow, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess I was prepared to go to jail. I didn't want to go to jail. But I also saw it a bit as, it's a bit of a feather in your cap. I walk the walk, I talk the talk. I had the zip ties on, and they slapped me around, and I lived to tell the tale.
Yes, they.
No. I had to leave before the real stuff came, but I saw, people getting pushed around and maced, and the helicopters flying by, and I returned to the Netherlands with camp cough, which a lot of the people who were in camp got. Some people say it's a virus, but other people say the police were spraying chemical agents at night. There was a plane always circling. So I ended up in the hospital, and that's one of the things I told the doctors. I said, it's a rumor at this point, but let's check it out, because there's evidence that the police were spraying chemicals over the camp. So it was real. It got real. And like this, they have this NRAD. It's a armored car in the middle of the street, and it has a sound cannon on it. And it just beams the sound at you that's like a car alarm, but 1,000 times louder. And like, you can't do that. It just rattles your bones, and you just have to leave. And it's crowd control, but Orwellian crowd control, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've experienced these things, and yeah, it changes you, right? So
in what way?
Well, I think it reshuffles your priorities, right? Like, we talked about privilege a little bit earlier. Like, just to sit here and have a cup of coffee is a huge privilege. Just every breath is a privilege. I mean, we should be grateful for the sun, for
Yeah.
everything, right? And then people are whining that they didn't get the new iPhone or they, whatever, right? And I've done that too, of course. But it helps you recalibrate what's important, what's precious to you. So, yeah. So,
It's interesting because you started off with using the word white privilege, which to me is a racist term. And just get the ball rolling, say something stupid. I always do that.
Provocateur.
Yeah. Well, not because of, but should I feel guilty?
No. Well, maybe we should take the word white out. Would that help if we just say we're privileged individuals? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're all going to be humans again, not being divided up in white, black, brown. Because really, I'm such when I nowadays I encounter a person whose skin is not as white as mine.
Yeah.
I get scared.
In what way?
Of being racist without me knowing it.
Oh, okay.
Because I have all these unconscious biases floating around in my heart.
Well, I think it's true. I think we do.
No, we don't.
Well, but
no.
But also, I'm not calling you a racist,
Okay.
but I'm saying we do see. We've been conditioned to see things, right?
Yeah.
But I think also there's a difference between your experience in the Netherlands growing up and my experience in the States growing up. I think the States, that's our ugly truth, is racism, right? I don't get that sense in the Netherlands. You have other ugly truths, but I don't think racism is one of them.
No.
Okay? So I think you're right. I think but
there are a lot of black people in the Netherlands who just imported it and now are using it to further their agenda because they have been taught that that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But if we take the white out of the sentence and we say privileged, so I mean, you and I have talked, right?
Then we're all,
right. Because I think if you're a conscious thinking individual, you're grateful for every breath and every
gratitude, the attitude of gratitude,
food on your plate. Yeah. Then, but we also recognize that there are people that don't have food on their plate or can't see the sun or don't have a roof over their head.
No, but that's not where my beef is. My beef is that with that there are groups, and I'm not saying they have different skin color, but there are all sort of groups. You know, the female group, for instance, which I'm part of. We have the transgender group, which I'm not part of. Because I'm a woman. And all these groups, they group together now on online, on the internet, and they are cultivating their sensitivities. Like they're making lists of dotted lists.
What to be offended by.
Yes.
Okay.
If this happens, if this happens, you can now legally explode.
Right.
And they go off and I think it should be the other way around. I think you should, as a person, develop callus.
Sure.
On your soul, on your skin, just to communicate with people who come from the other side, who have a different perspective than you.
Right.
It doesn't make them evil. That's why I would say,
you're
evil?
testing me. Yes, yes, they're
Testing
completely
the
evil.
Are they evil? And that's not happening. I see it not happening. I don't. Maybe you see it differently, but I see people who are working on how to become even more sensitive. You have a whole group of people that are highly sensitive people.
Right.
These fucks, they can be annoyed by literally everything.
Yeah.
Oh no, don't do that because I'm hypersensitive.
Of course. I think.
Deal with it.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, it irritates and bothers me too, but I think it's a natural progression, and I think it's the right way to go. I think our modern discourse is pushing us into these little groups, and we say, oh, we're right and you're wrong, but eventually all those groups have to talk and we have to coexist. So yeah, so I think that's going to open up conversations. Like, I don't like Nazis, but we have to hear their voice and we have to have that conversation, right?
Yeah. Because the alternative
right.
is to burn them.
Right. To shut everybody up.
And
it's my way or no way.
I thought that was the problem.
Right.
The problem is when you are going to a place where you want to start burning people, then you're historically on the wrong side.
There you go.
It's and you know, because if you have a swastika on your shirt,
mm-hmm.
but you don't want to burn people, you know,
right,
that is something that is not evil. And if you wear a cross on your shirt and you want to burn people
mm-hmm.
because they are obviously not, you know,
and they're heathens or something, right?
That's crazy. But if now and again, there was a guy. It's a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. He's an activist, which
mm-hmm.
I'm not, but he is.
Okay.
I'm sort of an activist against my will, because I don't want to be against anything. I want to be for things, and I want to have us talking to one another, so
mm-hmm.
I can understand and
mm-hmm.
improve myself with
mm-hmm.
your vision.
Mm-hmm.
But he just posted something like, well, how come that 2 major newspapers are still employing 2 right-wing commentators, columnists?
Right.
And I know one of them, and he's more like a socialist, you know,
oh yeah,
and then a Nazi.
mm-hmm.
So I said, well, you know, he is not a Nazi. It's not there. And by the way, why do you want to censor people anyway?
Mm-hmm.
And then they come up with arguments that I can understand but I can understand, but I cannot relate to.
Right.
That is, well, there's a time for dialogue and there's a time for resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think so. I think there is only time for dialogue, because when you come to resistance, you're already too late.
Yeah, but I think that's where we are, sister. I mean, I like they interviewed some of these folks at the Charlottesville alt-right thing, and some of these men.
What? By the way, I have a problem with alt-right. What is alt-right?
Well, it's a rebranding of white supremacy. You know, it's alternative right.
Okay.
So they're basically white supremacists.
Okay, they're
the modern KKK. They're trying to make it polite. What their beliefs are.
A polite way of saying he's a fascist. Okay.
Well, fascist, I think, is a little different. I would say kind of, white supremacist. I think that's a bigger
But white supremacists, aren't they fascist?
Well, I don't know how you exactly slice it.
Okay.
But my point is, like, I've seen some of these men interviewed, and what they said was just vile. Like I'm like you. I kind of want to hear these
mm-hmm.
voices, and I want to kind of have a dialogue. But what they were saying was just let's burn people and kill, and
mm-hmm,
they have no place. And
but then you should say.
But then you're like, you can't really have a conversation with someone that has that kind of viewpoint.
You have to.
But do you have a conversation with, in 1942 with a Nazi who's going to burn your house down? Like, you got to resist that. You can't have a conversation sorry, Mr. Nazi.
Sorry, I have to break you. 1942, there's a war on.
Right.
Okay, a war is the end of dialogue. You know,
Right,
when we
right.
are in full-blown war,
Okay, right.
there
right.
is
The guns are
the
pointed
dialogue
across the.
has failed.
Okay. Okay.
But the fact that we are in war is a result of not having the dialogue in the first place.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
where the war stops is at the negotiating table.
Right. And then the.
And that's talking.
Conversation
again.
starts
That's a
again.
dialogue
Okay,
again.
okay.
Then, as a little kid, I always found it fascinating that the when they're sitting together at the table, the Germans and all
The
these
Russians
enemies and the
and the
Russians
Americans and the- yeah.
if they met a week before, they would have killed each other.
Right. Right.
But now, they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Wow. Wow.
Someone won. That's a great place to be. Let someone win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now let's talk again.
Mm.
I think that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to let someone win, but you do not stop communicating.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you are in this game to win all the time, then there are going to be losers. And they don't like it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. They don't like to be occupied or.
Because that is the story of World War II anyway.
Right.
Because that was the German consciousness that was not capable of handling the fact that they did not only lose the First World War, but that they were butchered afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They were killed.
Completely repressed
They were, their economy was declared dead.
Mm-hmm.
A bread was one day was 1,000,000 Deutschmark, and the other day it was a gazillion Deutschmark before you could buy a
Right.
bread. The horror, the breakdown of society, which opens the way for a person who wants to restore
A demigod.
society.
Right.
So, that's a nice metaphor of how the dialogue should keep going, because if you don't, there will be losers, and losers will respond in anger.
And violence.
Yes.
Okay. So right. So I've seen, as I said, I've seen these interviews, and what these people were saying was so vile. It's like, how do you have a conversation with someone saying something so vile? It's not even a give and take. It's just. So, but what you're saying is, so what? Have that conversation, whatever that is.
Well, let me say something different.
okay,
There are people that are totally obnoxious.
Okay,
you know?
right.
But there are also people like more here. They're not completely to the right, but they say something. They say they understand a few of their concerns, which maybe could be legitimate concerns. You don't know.
Sure
they
they
just put it in such a vile way, and they're not capable of having a dialogue. That's going to hurt them, that they're not able to have a dialogue. But if there's a person here, more to the middle, that is sympathetic to them, that the guys here say, oh, he's alt-right. Boom.
Right. That's the problem.
That is killing the dialogue. So I think that this person here and this person should have sympathy with there and there, but here should be a dialogue.
That's where the connection is
and
made.
so the people there here, our concerns are voiced in the dialogue. Our concerns are voiced, and then they cool down. But they don't. But have an example. Is where can't think of one. Almost had it. It's like
it's right there.
It's right there. Like again with the black people. That
I heard a beep.
Yeah, it's still going.
Oh, does that mean the camera's off, but it's still rolling?
It's starting again, I think.
All right, so we can do like really silly things.
Yeah.
Who did you?
I think it started again. Is that you get so scared around black people because, oh God, I'm a racist, you know?
But isn't that
if I sympathize with Black people,
okay?
you know, and they say, well, now you're a racist, and I cannot talk with you anymore.
Yeah, I don't quite follow you.
No,
but
I don't. I've lost my train of thought as well.
But I think the fear of being called a racist is also privilege. Like, if we were two people of color sitting here, we wouldn't have that thought. Like, we wouldn't be afraid of being called a racist. Because you can't be as a...
The whole word white privilege is a racist word. And you can be black and racist too. Because then you're just having prejudice about white people. True, one of them, that they are having white privilege and they're out to attack you, which I'm not. Okay. The problem with me is that I can interact with black people just as if they are people, you know? Which is not strange, because they are, you know? The color of your skin means shit.
Right.
So don't make it into something, because that creates a problem.
Right.
I didn't know. We had a VJ here in the Netherlands who said, well, now we have this video clip, now we have that video clip. I didn't know she was black because she was a person to me.
Right.
The moment she started arguing that Black Pete is racist, I said, oh, fuck. And then she got black. I'm not going around shouting, I'm white, I'm white, I'm white.
Well,
please, people.
Well, but historically, we're the oppressor, people with white skin. So we don't try and fix things. We just want the status quo. So when you're a person of color, you see these.
You know why?
Well, because it's good stuff, right?
Yeah.
We want all the good stuff.
Yeah.
We want to take all the resources and all the
everybody
humans.
wants the good stuff.
Yeah.
So that's not racist. That is just holding on to good stuff.
Well, but if you're the one who doesn't have the good stuff and you say, hey, can I have some of that? We say, oh, shut up and sit down.
Well, it's not that we say you can't have it because you're black. Because
is
no rule.
I think we do. Because again, I think this is a cultural thing. I think
I can understand. I've listened to a podcast made by Joe Rogan with a police officer.
Okay.
A guy that used to be a police officer, used to be a SEAL, I think, and then he went into the police. It's very
right.
Straight guy, and he told a heartbreaking story at how that racial profiling is really killing the chances of black people to even become middle class. Because a middle class kid can walk around with soft drugs in his pocket all day long.
Right.
Because he wouldn't get searched.
Right.
Because white kids don't have that. A black kid better not have it. Because
right.
he will get...
Hallo.
Hi. Je bent op YouTube nu, hè? Ja. Oké. Maar we kunnen het er altijd uitknippen.
Maakt niet uit.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's have a break.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Do you know where we left the discussion?
We were gonna cure world hunger.
No. I was in telling you about the former police officer that went on Joe Rogan to explain racial profiling, and that he really met guys that was nothing wrong with, but due to the war on drugs and racial profiling, got their life completely fucked up.
Right.
Well, that's horrible.
Right. Well,
But
but
it doesn't make me a racist. That's what.
no, I don't think anyone's saying that. But I think you're right. I think studies have shown that 7% of the population uses drugs, but the people of color are being targeted, search for drugs, find drugs on them, guilty, thrown in jail at a much higher rate. And you're right. If you're a white kid with a marijuana in your pocket, you're just kind of walking down, nothing, not a problem. Right. But if you have a broken taillight, you're pulled over as a colored person, you have a good chance of getting beat up or shot or thrown in prison. So that's systemic racism, right? That's where the system is set up for you to fail,
Yes, but okay, but it's also, I say, reality.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I have this this idea that as white people we can't say that's just reality. I think that's a cop out because we're traditionally the oppressor. That's like a Nazi telling a Jewish person whose family was killed in the Holocaust, get over it, right? The Nazi can't say that. It's the Jewish person to say, we're over it, right? Because as a white person, we can't say, hey, racism exists, get over it. Well,
getting over it is a large part of the equation.
Yes, but let me add this. So if
Because I want them to get over it.
Of course, and they want to too.
Yes.
Yeah, but hear me out. So if I put you in a cage in the backyard and I throw you a hamburger a couple times a week and I beat you every other day and squirt you with the hose and I just say, hey, Meryl, that's reality, just deal with it, you'd be like, yeah, this is reality and it really sucks. I think we should change this reality. And I'm just like, sorry,
yes,
I'm in charge.
Yes, but this is a cage.
Right.
It's locked and I cannot get out of it.
Right.
Yes, but I'm not creating the cage myself.
Whoa. So black people are all for racial profiling?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. But if you can get out of the cage by never going around with drugs in your pocket.
Of course.
And you can say, well, why doesn't a white person has to do that?
Right.
Well, if all the blacks go around with no drugs in their pocket, the police officer will find himself or out of a job or he starts profiling white people because the chances are better that they find the drugs there.
Well, but we're also assuming that these cops are honest cops. We've seen body cam footage of cops planting evidence. So if you're a black kid with no marijuana in your pocket, all of a sudden they found you with heroin and a gun, and you're like, wait a minute, like, oh, stop resisting arrest. I mean,
that's horrible.
Right. So there's that. I mean, that's also systemic racism. I mean, where you're targeting people and planting evidence and throwing them in jail. So yes, I'm responsible for my actions. Yes, I don't walk around with drugs in my pocket, but there are other issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
But of course, we're talking now in a sort of cartoon version of racism, and I understand your position exactly.
Okay, good.
Because if it's reality, then it's a cage. Then the bars are real. But if there is a part of the bar you can bend, and you can go through, and then you lose the cage altogether. We also talked about the main street and the side streets that are dead ends. And I think standing in a dead end shouting, it's all because you're black, it's all because I'm white, it's all because I'm female, it's all because didn't that or didn't the other and didn't work. These are all excuses for not going on on the straight road that leads to success.
Yes, but again, I think that's kind of a misperception. That's meritocracy. So you are where you are in your life because of your merits. Well, did Donald Trump get to where he is because of his merits? No, he happened to climb out of a very wealthy vagina, and was handed everything, and look where he is.
And still, there are a lot of guys
Right.
that crawl out of very wealthy vaginas.
Yeah.
Who end up in jail.
Really?
Still, yes.
No.
Yeah.
Wealth gets you out of a lot of trouble.
Okay. But
Yeah.
they don't become the president of the United States. That's what I'm saying. I know they're not ending up in jail because you can buy your way out of jail.
Right.
And even if you go to jail, you can have a very nice time in jail.
Yeah, it's a
You're gonna
rich
have
people jail.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
to rich people jail. You go to some fucking resort. But
Community
you will never
service,
ever be
yeah.
president of the United States.
Hmm.
No.
Well, but
No.
but
No.
there's evidence that, Trump is as corrupt as they come. He's cheated and lied, stealed, broken laws. He's still the president because
Yes.
he's wealthy. He
Yeah,
has lawyers and
Yeah, but Hillary Clinton has done exactly the same.
yeah, sure,
And
sure.
if he didn't become president, then Hillary would have been president.
Hmm.
So-
Well, but that points to the corruption of our system in America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that criminals can go to the
points
highest
to
office.
corruption anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Because you need power to change
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but power is a all-pervasive drug in itself
Mm-hmm.
that not many people can handle. Most people cannot even handle a small amount of power.
Well,
And Donald, I think, is a guy who is unaware of the power he holds. The stupid thing I heard him say was when he was elected, he said, "This is really big."
this is a harder job than I thought it was going to
No,
be.
he didn't say that. He said, "This is really big. I got a phone call from the president of France to congratulate. This is really big, you know."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Meaning up until that moment, it was a reality show.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
It was a dream. It was actually a dream, and now he's living the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's not what we want. We don't want a guy that's living the dream, man.
Right.
It's not the dream, it's the fucking nightmare.
Yeah. He's our
and-
nightmare.
Yeah.
His dream.
I hope he just says after 4 years, I'm not gonna do this shit anymore. I once said that Obama is making a mess of it. I could do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
I know now that it's virtually impossible to do this job. So saying that I could do a better job was stupidity on my part. I just did not know what the fuck I was talking about.
Well, but what do you mean by impossible? Just because of the way it's set up, because of the complexity of the job, because of the powers.
Because the president does not hold any power.
Right. He's a puppet.
It's
Yeah.
the only thing the president has to do is to represent the United States as a figurehead,
Mm-hmm.
head of state, and he's not doing a very good job at that.
Yeah.
Obama was a star.
Yeah.
You know,
He was a shiny,
He was
pretty.
just the greatest.
Yeah.
Just not less of an asshole than Bush, or Trump for that matter. But he was a star. He was, that was the guy. Oh God, he could do that.
This is our guy. Yeah.
He could play the part of the president like nobody's business.
Sure.
And
But just as corrupt and evil,
he doesn't-
warmongers, all of them.
the drone attacks under Obama.
Yeah. The deportations, the
The
bailouts.
Let's call them atrocities.
Yeah. It's
They just went on.
Civil rights.
But it was not as paranoid as with Bush.
True.
Bush really tried to close down society, and I think Obama understood that society had to be open, that people had to be heard. The way he takes care of a heckler, his
Right.
speech, and then someone says, "Oh, shut up!" No, let him say his piece.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
If a
he
guy
played
can
us
do
like a
that,
fiddle.
it's
Yeah.
great. But it has no value because it has no power. It only needs to stay alive.
Well, I would agree. I think he was the pretty face of empire.
Yeah.
And now Donald is the ugly face, the true face of empire. And now everybody like, oh, we're shocked.
Yeah.
He's horrible.
Empire wants to have a PR face.
Yeah.
And Obama was a good PR face, and maybe Hillary was, to the rest of the world, maybe she looks like a peace dove or something. But she's a warmonger.
Yeah, war criminal, and the list goes on.
She's war everything.
Yeah.
I hear someone say, I've never seen a war she didn't like.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
well, we don't have to go over this, but to prove how much of a flawed candidate she was, she lost to Donald Trump. I mean, how awful a candidate you have to be.
And I even heard that she was that they bought some states.
Yeah.
That there was electoral fraud to a scale where they thought, well, now we cannot fail.
Yeah, we can't lose.
That's how hard the bombshell hit there when they failed.
And it's interesting. She still has no clue, or apparently, it's all Sanders' fault. It's all Obama's fault. It's whoever. It's never her.
She's in that game.
Yeah.
And that's her life. And I don't know what kind of person you are if you sell your soul to the devil to have that seat.
Well, here's a question. Do you think to get to that level, you have to sell your soul?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. There's no...
Real power will not let you in.
Yeah.
There's a ballotage commission.
The gatekeepers.
Yeah, there are gatekeepers, and it's a stretch, but I think that they do things. That they are a club, if they are a club, and that in this club you have to do certain things which are illegal, and they now hold that information for you.
Right.
So
for you.
And for you, yes.
Yeah.
But you go in there willingly. You just hand it to him on a silver plate, and maybe you're stupid going in there, but then it's done.
Right.
Then
they have the leverage.
Yeah, but I don't consider this to be the truth. But you've heard about Pizzagate?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who hasn't? But that comes from those emails that they stole from those servers.
Right.
They weren't hacks. They were stolen. The USB stick.
Right.
By a Russian, of course. There was a Russian there.
Anyone
just had to be had access to the server of the Democratic Convention, and you just and then they read all these emails and then absurd lines, and now they hypothesize that all these guys were involved in pedophilia. And as insane as that sounds, there is power to the madness, because there's if they go there, if they organize it, and they can, because they're judges themselves who own judges,
Right.
then that is a way that you just, boom, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Pedophile.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no way to recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, yeah, I think politics is a dirty business. A lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of vested interest.
It's power.
Yeah.
The only I've studied reality because I'm talking about reality a lot.
Okay.
That's real because I'm searching for real. The only thing real is that's real. But
Mm-hmm. What was that?
born that was the
Okay.
Tibetan.
Okay. The little.
That's reality. It's a vibration. It's all it is, and it's us interpreting the vibration.
Okay.
That's all it is. So.
So reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about it a lot. It's
Mm-hmm.
my thing.
Mm-hmm. So, can you elaborate? What does that mean?
I wish I could. Well, I have myself the tendency of to avoid harsh realities and go off in my dream world
Sure.
where everything is nice.
Unicorns and
Yeah.
fairy dusting. Yeah.
While in there where if I just step towards the pain, there is the unicorn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The unicorn is behind the evil monster
Right.
that you're running away from.
Right.
But then again, and that evil monster is only an evil monster because you make it into
It's
an
a
evil
shadow.
monster.
Right. I would agree. I think you're right. I think if you run toward that thing that makes you uncomfortable, the thing that scares you, and you pass through that, and you realize it was a shadow, then you become stronger and wiser and a better person.
Yeah.
But I would agree. I think a large portion of the population just is in denial. They don't want to go there. They don't want to think about, refugees and
No. No.
black people being shot by the police, and
No.
just don't want to go there because it challenges their belief system, and it could be scary.
Yeah. But to me, is that okay? That's real.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening. Gotta face it.
Right.
And now I have about at this moment I have about 3 alleys I want to go in simultaneously,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm sort of lost here.
The dead end alleys that we talked about.
No. It's you can from here you can go in all sorts of directions, and let's not do that because I can't choose right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unless there's something you want to say about this. And
Well,
then we're going to talk or about some more about your movie that just won a prize.
Oh,
Or we're going to talk Pale Blue Dog, which I like very much. As
sure. Well, let's get to that. But I think this whole idea of denial is seductive, and I think it's necessary as a human being. I think we can't take on the world's problems. We have to take on our own stuff and other problems as we're able, right? So, we shouldn't be ashamed, and we shouldn't be upset, guilty that we can't save the world, but we can do our little part. I try and do that every day. Maybe it's a smile to somebody, maybe it's helping a lady across the street. All those cliches, but that makes a difference.
Okay, what I can say about it then is this: that I'm very pressed for these hard realities you cannot avoid, but all it takes is a shift in perception for a miracle to occur. Because a little shift in perception will change your reality completely.
Absolutely.
And that's what the gift I want to give everybody who's in a dire situation is not look at it from the perspective where you can't change it, but
Mm-hmm.
look from the perspective what you can change.
Mm-hmm.
This will give you tremendous power,
Mm.
and that's the gift I want to give everyone.
Sure. Sure.
So that's on reality.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can't get completely hung up on, well, my daddy, you know, he was such a jerk, and now I don't have confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and well, that's stupid
But-
because no one has.
Of course. I mean, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know, I think we all want that. But from my own experience in life, there have been points in time, and probably everyone shares this, where super stressful, super horrible, I can't get out of this hole, and it was just this feedback loop that there wasn't a way out. I couldn't change my perspective. And some people were in that hole. So I want to be careful of just saying, hey, think happy thoughts and it'll
No,
change.
it's not thinking happy thoughts.
Yeah.
It's change your perspective, and it doesn't have to be a 180-degree turnaround.
Okay.
It's if you are here
Mm-hmm.
and you're going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and if you go long enough,
Right.
in the end, that will be a huge change.
Sure.
So, and but the other thing of perception
Mm.
that is easy to do for everybody, even if it's
Right.
hard. It's supposed to be hard. You know, if it was easy, then there wouldn't be no gain there. But the easy thing you can do is stop blaming other people for your predicament.
Of course.
And I'm saying this because it's what I always do. Whenever I fuck up, I say, my brain rushes
To find
towards
somebody
the
else.
first, who can I blame this on?
Of
'Cause
course.
I
Yeah.
don't want to have the shame and the guilt of fucking up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you just don't give yourself that alley,
That out.
that
Yeah.
out,
Mm-hmm.
and you say, well, everything is under my control, and the things that aren't under my control, I can control my response to that.
Right. But this goes back to my example of, the cage in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you're locked in a cage, giving three meals a week.
I'm
Yeah.
in the cage. I'm in
Yeah,
the cage, and
right.
you come up and you
And-
throw in the hamburger.
Yeah, throw you a hamburger 3
Hi,
times
Bob.
a week. Yeah.
I say, hi, Bob.
Hi, Meryl.
Hi. Why am I in a cage?
Because you're a piece of shit and you don't deserve anything.
Okay. Where did you come up with that idea, Bob?
Well, you are. Here's your hamburger. Shut up. I'm leaving.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for the hamburger.
Right.
Shall we? I very much look forward to talking with you again,
Right.
because I think you're very lonely and you need someone to talk to.
Right. Well, that has just earned you a fresh beating. I don't feel much like talking. I'm just going to beat you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a little bit? Do you think that's a little
Okay,
bit?
beating number 2.
Sick yourself, Bob.
And you've lost hamburger privileges.
Okay.
You just get the bun now.
Okay.
That's reality.
I don't want your hamburger.
Okay. Then you'll die in the cage.
Yes. I
Be
will
eaten
die.
by rats.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, we
That's
solved
what
this.
You want. You want me to die? Is that what you want me?
Yeah, well, I want you to stay alive just long enough I can torment you.
Okay.
Get my jollies.
Well, I don't want that, so I'm just gonna die now.
Okay. All right, next. Sorry, this isn't going anywhere, but I see what you're saying, that you don't feed the misery. You don't feed the injustice. You just deal with
I'm
what
trying
you're
to
dealing.
figure out a way to have come in contact with the guy that's jailing me, so I can figure out what's driving him, and I can figure out what's driving him. I can give him what's driving him without caging me at the same time, and then I'm free.
Right.
So there is a path out of the cage that is only there if you believe that you can get out of the cage. If you don't,
This is true. This is true.
You've created the cage in your own head.
Well, but I think also
Empowering. That's always empowering. I am horrified with the victim mentality.
Sure. But we've seen, like, when a calf is in the fields, they have a little electrified fence, just half a meter off the ground, and the little cow walks up. Bzz, I don't like that feeling. It's an electrified fence. So flash forward 4 years, it's a full-grown cow, could easily step over this little electrified wire, but it doesn't go near it because it had that experience. So the cage isn't there anymore. It's just its perception of the cage. So I think that's maybe what you're saying, that we're all the full-grown cows and we just need to step over the electric fence.
Yes, we're all in cages.
Yeah.
And it's it's a mind. We need to expand the mind to new possibilities. The thing that you hold to be impossible right now can be a possibility 10 years from now. And I think I am a prime example of that. I'm still not happy with the amount of money that's coming in. And it's not that I want to buy a second Maserati or something like that. It's just that I want to know that I will not die poor. That's that's the only concern I have now, because I have heard some horrible stories. I don't want to die like that.
Right.
But yes, I have changed a lot, and the last week I was talking to someone, and she said to me, "Well, just go back 10 years. Where were you 10 years ago?" And I went back 10 years ago. That was extreme. I was a man 10 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But as that other person, had you set that trajectory? Just because you said, that's the difference between.
Well, it was. I made one small decision, yes, and that turned out into this, and it's just. It's decisions. It's decisions, and acting upon decisions they're all small decisions, and they're all small actions. But if you keep deciding and take action, if you decide something, Anthony Robbins said that when you decide something, immediately take the first action you can take on that decision, however small.
Yeah, I believe that.
And you will set something in motion. The story of how we met is something that is a thread that almost died. But I said, well, it cannot die. This thread of my life has to keep in motion. And bam! At that point, we met each other. And that was a path of failure and misery and losing that was sort of without end.
No.
It's crazy that but it was my life.
That's where you were at that point in your life. It wasn't.
No, it's long story. But what's going on? I was doing a show on a boat, and a woman stepped in who was, I presumed, of a higher level because she had been on TV.
Okay.
She said she was going to produce my show, and then within a month, 4 months or so, she worked my whole show into the ground, where there was nothing left of it.
Jeez.
Then there was nothing. But I met a guy who told me he knew 2 people who were making a documentary that was half finished, and they had won a prize for the trailer of the documentary.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, hey, film not finished? There can be a song in it.
Okay, yeah.
What's it called? What's it about? So he shows me the trailer. It's called Red Light Blues. And so I write a song called Red Light District Blues. Great song, by the way. I love it.
I've heard it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And so I pitch this, and we go on a path together. First we this documentary, then we tried to make a pilot for a sitcom, which fails miserably. Then they got interested in me personally. They want to make a documentary. They want to try to sell it to every company they could find. Didn't work. Finally, the older one, the 2 dies, Izzy Abrami, and well, that's where everything stops. Urga goes her way, Izzy is dead, and that's it. We have a funeral.
It's a dead end.
Yeah, that's a dead end.
Right.
And then a year later, they publish one of his books. I think it's a translation or something, but they turned it into a memorial for Izzy.
Right.
Yeah. And I wasn't invited. It pissed me off.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part of the story.
No. And I said, but I saw that a coach of mine who helped me through the Amsterdam Kleinkunst Festival was performing there as well, because they worked together, and I said, well, it's a nice crowd. Just hanging out there would be great, but I'm not a person who just goes there to hang out if there is a stage involved. You know?
Okay.
If there's a stage involved, I want to play something. So I wrote Urga an email, said I wanted to do something, and then I just did that song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips, because I practiced that a lot, so I knew I could do that.
Right.
And that's where, and there were you. You saw me. You didn't even shake hands or say anything.
Yeah. Well, but of course I noticed your performance, but I'm trying to remember how I ended up there. Yeah, because I was friends with Urga, or at least acquaintances, and we had email or Facebook or something. And I don't remember why I went exactly to his memorial. Yeah, but I just showed up, and you performed. I was like, wow, that's some talent, right? So I asked her about you, and she told me a little something. I said, well, I think I'd like to get a hold of her. Yeah.
And that's where our endeavor started.
Our arcs crossed. Yeah.
So and that's and I'm happy there, because now that thread of my life is continuing. Don't know if it means anything, but it means a lot to me. But then you came with an idea to me about a music video.
Well, I guess we were looking for something to work on together, and I think I first approached you to do Tiptoe Through the Tulips as a video. No. Okay.
No, that is not true.
Okay.
You came in.
Maybe I thought about it, but then didn't break.
You just when we did the shot in the tulips. That's why I said, "Wow, maybe we can."
Make a video about it.
I'm dancing in tulips anyway. You just have to film me, and I just dance around in it and do it 15-minute stops. We have video.
And your performance was so good that the drone flew into the sluice. I remember it.
We
started shooting and it went up and it went, "Meow," and hit a tree and fell right in the water.
I
was like,
think,
cut.
I don't know exactly, but I thought that the drone fell in the water when we still were filming the final scene of the Pale Blue Dot.
No, it was the first take of your. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, it's all my fault. Yes, it took off and it landed in a ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the real story is that he had it set for return to base if the batteries got low, but he was standing under a tree when it returned to base and it hit the tree and fell in the water. So.
Yeah, it's his own fault.
It's a
yeah. Learning experience. It's probably very valuable to him now.
Yeah.
So now we started off with shooting the last scene of the film.
Right.
Of me and Ron.
Yeah, and you teased me because I wanted to hurry up and shoot in the tulips because we were losing the season was passing.
Yeah.
They were going to cut down all the tulips the following day, so I had to get you guys out there. And then 3 years later, we're not quite finished with the film. So we had two more seasons.
And I said, well, Bob, why is the rush? We can always film this a year from now. And you said, no, the movie would be long finished by
Echo. Yeah.
Yeah. A funny thing, I'm walking through my Facebook timeline to get the little poetry I put in to harvest that, to do something else with it.
Okay.
And I come across all sort of mentions of the Pale Blue Dot, and one of them was 2 years ago. It said it's almost in the can now.
Yeah.
Only 3 more days.
No. What jackass wrote that?
Sorry, Bob. All my fault. I fucked up.
Oh.
Now you came to me with the idea of making a music video, and you had this imagery of Mother Earth, the devil and the angel, and the devil and the angel, Ron being the devil, I'm being the angel, of course. And we're supposed to write a song together, or half a song, and then it should get into one. And I just was glad that somebody was interested in me and my songwriting capabilities, and that there was going to be a movie. The only reservation I had was, please, Bob, let this not be a project where everybody makes money except me. That was sort of a hang-up. But that was then at the moment I have basically invested so much time and money, not as much as you, but I have that this is my thing. This is my baby. I have full ownership in my, which is true, by the way. I have finally I've written the complete song, composed it, wrote the lyrics, and made the arrangement.
Right. Yeah, so it's your baby.
That's a biggie. You know. Ron said the other day when we were at the Blind Flicks Film Festival. Yeah. He said, "Wow, it's very strange that you're a real girl, but in the studio you were a dude."
Really? That's strange.
Yes. So I don't know. Maybe from the rock scene, he comes from girls in studios are nothing but sluts. I don't know. But what did I thought about it a lot because I thought it was funny, and the most funny part is if I put it to words is, Ron, what did you expect? I have written the song and I made the arrangement. So.
Well, but I'll hand it to you. You seem to have a really good touch. Especially if we were in the studio sessions where that you had your vision and this was your baby, and you had the song in your head, it was in your DNA, and yet you also were flexible enough that if ideas came up or somebody made a mistake or whatever, you could still kind of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really have to hand it to you because, I was very conscious of your song and our creation and all the different, everyone comes at it from a different perspective, and they want to, hey, let's put a tambourine in here and let's, bring out the tubas, and, we're just like,
We had to work with a lot of people going in.
Yeah.
So I knew it was not going to be all the way I wanted it to be, because, well, that only happens when you pay for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd made the arrangement and hired all the musicians myself, paid for them, have them sign contracts,
my way or the highway contract.
And but then again, I probably would have fired the drummer.
Who was very good, by the way.
It's I know now, yes, because I've been growing a little.
Okay.
That what he did there was very good, but it was also not what the boss wanted. If I was the boss, and
right.
I made an arrangement, and he just said, "Well, that's sort of nothing," and it was not nothing. I wanted him to play that,
right.
And I wanted to do with it whatever I wanted to do it whenever I got my chance on mixing it, or anyone could do with that in the mix whatever he wanted to do it, but I wanted him to play it. And him saying it was stupid was not the way to go.
I wasn't there for that
No,
conversation.
There's a lot of stuff you missed.
Yeah.
Like you thought I was pounding on Miss Flute out of nothing, Please do it again. Please do it again. Please do it again. But I was working that girl for an hour. We were friends. But by the time we went into the studio, we had been friends like forever. Because we were talking, and she was completely calmed down, so she could do with anything.
Yeah.
I asked her, but I completely understand. She was such a pretty girl. That was a strange thing to see me again. Please, again, you can do it. Again.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do it. She's gorgeous.
Well, I imagine it's a bit like directing actors, in that, I have a certain performance, a certain tone, a certain character in mind, and sometimes the actor either delivers that or they don't. And so I have to make a creative choice. Do I push them and try and make the performance, or do I let it slide, or do I kind of find somewhere in the middle? That's part of the artistic process, to work with what you're given. Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
There, a lot of stuff happened, and I saw funny things. I saw great things. I saw the way Ron works in the studio, which is also great. Because that is a guy who made many albums.
Right.
And you see it in the small touches. Like Ron would never say, "Oh man, your guitar is completely out of tune, man."
Right.
Would never do that. He said to Craig, "I think your guitar is a little bit pitchy."
And it was way off.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
okay.
way off, but it's any musician is ashamed to admit that his guitar is off. You don't want that to happen.
You should have noticed.
Yeah, so you're guilt-ridden all over. So if someone pounds you on the head with that, that's just adding insult to injury. That's not working.
Okay, I can see that.
And I immediately, experience.
Right,
Probably he been nasty in the studio once and paid price for it.
Right. It didn't quite work out.
So,
well, the music is recorded and it's been mixed several times. I don't think the mix is quite there, and we want to mix it to the picture because that's going to make a big difference. Because there's outdoor scenes, indoor scenes, solo, and then there's group, there's a chorus. So that mix is going to change depending on the picture.
Mm.
So I think there's still an opportunity for you to get in there and kind of get under the hood and do some tuning and
To
be
make
even
it into a record.
to be even happier with it.
track.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, but because the mixing for the film, there's nothing for me there. Besides from that, it has to be beautiful music going with the movie, because it's not a music video that came about by well, here's the finished track. Now slap some video to it.
Right.
This everything came together at the same time.
That was pretty exhilarating and pretty terrifying too, right? I don't know about how you felt, but yeah, the story was coming together, the music was coming together, we were coming together as friends. I mean, it was just all this big fireball.
Well, there were times when I thought, well, it's taking too long. This will fall apart. Because that happens. You know?
Yeah.
But you were going on. You were going strong. You were having successes with other films. You were clearly busy. And, well, I saw you were not a guy to have unfinished projects.
Yeah, no, never.
That you're so deep into. So, yeah. But I was annoyed.
But I was annoyed.
Yeah, but
that's
I was
fair.
annoyed.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's annoying.
Because it's annoying when it takes so much time.
Yeah.
And,
well, frankly, it's taking too much time for me too. I mean, I don't like it either.
yeah, you're ashamed now, because I was very open with it with someone at Limeslips Festival, and you said, "Oh no, not say it."
No. Well, the reality is that I had to work, make the movie, work some more, make the movie. Yeah, we didn't have a big budget where we could just shoot it all in 3 months and shake hands and go our separate ways. So
No, it's you say terrifying. Yes, it was scared for me because I've never really produced one of my songs to the utmost radio standard. I'm a theater performer. So that's where my songs mostly go, and I make demos or cheap audio productions in my own studio.
Right.
And of course, I'm getting better at it, but I'm not that good, I think, which was really scary when our first head of audio came up with this arrangement. And I listened to it and said, well, I can top that.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Because it was nothing. It was like, God, I
Drum
can.
machines, yeah.
Well, I use
Drum
machines
samples.
as well, but you can you can use anything you like, but you basically you do not butcher the song. It was of bad demos.
Yeah.
It was the king of bad demos.
Well, I think in retrospect, and maybe that's what you're saying, is it was a really good thing that it wasn't anything you had in mind and pushed you to take on the arrangement yourself.
Yeah, but I was so used to that. I really wanted to work with people who were better than me. You know, I wanted to go next level.
Sure.
And then I find out that the guy that is being in charge of the music cannot do it as well as I can. That gave me an uneasy feeling. But these people, they resolve themselves in a sort of way. They don't go with you till the end, and so problem gone.
Problem solved. Yeah.
But really, I was into this because you knew a guy that was really good, and it was not him; it was someone else.
Yeah, we had somebody else in mind.
And I was, that was what I was really excited about. That was, I still didn't get that, but
I still might though.
we still might.
I mean, magic still happens. So.
But okay, there are
Yeah.
two things. There's the music that goes with the movie,
Mhm.
and there is, of course, a track
Yeah, the
that
song.
can be played on the radio
Mhm.
for hours and hours on end. But and those two are different mixes,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I am not qualified to make either of them. I think
Mhm.
so.
I think you are, but yeah.
Well, then I need another guy with me
Mhm.
with ears.
Yeah. You need
Because
somebody
I
to
can
bounce.
tell what I want, and I can tell when it's not sounding well.
Mhm.
But I don't have exactly this ear is not as good as that one, so
Mhm.
that's a problem.
Okay.
But still, I'm getting better at that thing. But really, I would like to be next to a guy who's really good at it,
Right,
so I can
right.
grow.
Pick it up. Yeah, of course. Well, so would I. Yeah.
And of course, I want to know, just knowing the person, you know, having a person like that in my life,
yeah.
where I can say, well, I made this. We can listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, that'll come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think what I'm really happily discovering is, kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, is, you have to have a certain amount of inner drive to go in the proper direction or your direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have some success, people start to kind of get on board, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm finding now with a little bit of success is like, I'm getting approached, what about this song? What about this movie? What about, maybe we can get some money? And like all of a sudden you have, more resources at your disposal.
that was the most interesting for me in this project, is that it was not me alone anymore.
Mm-hmm,
It was me working together with other people.
Yeah.
And having the inspiration at the right time
Mm-hmm.
to write the right song.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah. Well, I can imagine, even better. Imagine if we break through the next level and the next level. After a while, you've got really hotshot producers on board and the best musicians. And I mean, wow, how can you not write a good song?
yeah. So it grows and it grows and it grows and it's that is still the enjoyable part. And you think it's taking too long? Yes, it definitely has. So, but you don't know where time goes.
Mm-hmm.
You had other projects. We shot footage for the Tulip video, but that's not finished either.
Yeah. I've got a few things that aren't finished. I mean, really, Pale Blue Dot is the project that needs to be have the attention on it. So it's pretty close. Yeah, I worked on it this morning. I mean,
What can you say? This morning you got up real early then.
Yeah, I was up at 6:30. Yeah, got to my desk.
And bam!
Yeah,
you
started
were on
editing.
It.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the push. Yeah.
I think that people are really interested now
Mm-hmm.
in seeing this thing. Not like we're not, but
Well, hopefully, our job as artists is to express ourselves and hopefully tap into something larger than ourselves and put it out there at the best quality we can. And people respond to it, fantastic. And if they don't, okay, and we do something else. I think that's.
But you are an award-winning director now.
Well, yeah, it certainly helps, and it gives me even more confidence and strength. And getting up at 6:30 in the morning to start work is a little easier when you have some success. Yeah, that's good. That's what it does give you. Yeah.
So where are we? Are we almost finished?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Well, as you know, we have a final sequence to shoot. the
Yeah.
live action sequence with Sanja in the forest with children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's proving to be a logistical challenge to get so many children and in the right time and right place before the weather changes. So we're humping to get that done. But I've been editing the movie. It's going to be about 20 minutes long. We've got our bookend story in Old Amsterdam, and then the music video in the center, a bit like The Wizard of Oz. And it's 85% cut, 90% cut. Yeah.
So.
And our sound designer, he and I are going to go out, I think next week, and just collect the sounds of Amsterdam.
All right.
The trams and the sounds of the street, the bicycles and the people and stuff, so he can start to work on his final mix. So we're getting close to the end. Yeah.
And okay, never mind. We'll find out how it goes. It's not something you have to really. Oh yeah, are we going to release the music video part, or
as a standalone?
yeah? Will that be on YouTube?
Well, probably not for a little while. Well, we want to finish the movie, and then we want to submit it to the film festivals.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So most, if not all, the festivals say, if you want to be considered in our festival, it can't be readily available to the public.
No, but it's not. It's only the music part.
Yeah, that's where it's a little gray.
Okay.
Because if it's available online, nobody wants to go to the festivals because, I just
know.
watched that on
I
YouTube. So I want to be careful to how much we release.
Okay.
But with that said, certainly you get a copy of the link to the screener and the password, so you can share it with your family and see it yourself.
But
Yeah.
we're missing the viral bit here.
Yeah. It's a bit tricky. But
But
we'll
it
have to
doesn't
see.
matter
We'll have to see.
because maybe we should just focus on getting it into the biggest festival we can get it into.
Right.
And that will launch it immediately. That will boom.
Well, and we want to. I want to look into getting a full-on publicist.
Okay.
So he or she knows the festivals inside and out. They know, where we should advertise, who we should talk to, the distributors, all that kind of good stuff. That gives you that back end push, across the finish line.
That leads us to the money.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, and
that's when the big bucks start rolling in.
No, of course, I need money. No, there was a crowdfunding thing we were doing, weren't we? I think it's time now.
Yeah, it's time. We have our teaser that's been finished. I am hot on the trail of there's some post-production funds available through the Dutch Film Commission. So I just have to apply for it, and that pays for these people that I mentioned that push us across the finish line.
Okay.
So that's kind of taking some of my attention away from the crowdfunding.
Okay.
But that can happen as well.
Okay.
No
because
reason not to.
I remember in the beginning of this project, we were also shooting interviews and stuff for crowdfunding.
And I was going to your performances and Ron's performances and Sonja's as part of that video. Yeah. It's.
Are you going to do anything with that, or?
Well, that will be part of the crowdfunding video.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when is that going to be released?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a hard date for that. The Hans, our sound designer, wants a picture lock so he can do his work. So that's kind of my goal.
What's a picture lock?
Picture lock means we edit the entire film front to back with no changes in the middle.
Okay.
So he can come in and add his little brilliant touches and not go back to him and go, at minute 1, get rid of 10 frames. He's like,
Freeze the timeline.
Yeah, picture lock.
Picture lock.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And of course, we can kind of cheat a little bit and not tell him, but he needs really
Yeah, within that time, you can fiddle all you like.
Well, I can, but if he puts the clock tower bell rings at this point and we move 5 frames, it's out of sync, the whole back end. So we have to,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I think, we don't know when the crowdfunding is going to be
No.
on the website. There's a website, by the way, for Pale Blue Dot.
-themovie.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
And you could put a link on the podcast, right? Put a
Yes.
little-
Well, yeah, I thought,
Let's do that.
yeah.
Because the teaser's on the website. Part of the teaser is on the website.
Yeah.
And then the teaser is on Vimeo too. And
This was just Bob and Meryl discussing the world with.
Well, we sorted it all out. We figured out race and politics and.
I may have said some stupid shit.
Me too, and I'll cop to that. If we want to come back after,
But
people
if
say,
there's
"Hey, you
anyone,
dumbass
if there's
white
anyone
person."
out there that wants to challenge me on the stupidity of the things I said, I welcome you.
Well,
I
me
welcome
too.
you
Yeah, me
to
too.
the other side of the table, and we have a dialogue. And I listen to you, and you listen to me, and then we will get some further. A little bit further. We kunnen het ook in Nederlands doen. It's no problem. So,
Well,
that's it.
well,
Open invitation for a podcast with Meryl Moistra.
Bravo. And likewise, if I say something stupid, reach out to me and I'll listen and
Bob doesn't
continue
have
the conversation.
Bob doesn't have a podcast of himself.
No, but you can yell at me over the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll buy another microphone and we'll sit here, the three of us, and it will be a better world.
Yeah, bravo.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is fun.
See you next time.
Okay.